She saw me on my way to my interview the other day.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's great. Well, we'll talk about that later. I want to share with you. And actually, there's some interesting information that I thought we'd share with you. Do you want the door shut, or are you okay? Okay. All right. Ready to go whenever you are.
Wade, and it's March 15th, 2032, and this is your news. Our top story this evening, scientists say that it's inevitable. We will one day be forced from our planet as a result of global warming and resource depletion. Well, NASA says they have the answer. Where is our next frontier? Find out after sports. But first, earlier today, the FDA gave cloned meat sales a seal of approval. Federal officials say the lack of outdoor vegetation has made the approval of cloned meat a high priority. With last year's ban on cow's milk and now the approval of cloned meat sales, several states are announcing they will begin issuing bovine hunting licenses early next year. Members of several religious sects and animal rights groups have protested these announcements for various reasons. But scientists say a 10% drop in bovine population will reduce methane gases to acceptable levels by 2040. Now, to find out how the sports entertainment industry is coping with these extreme weather conditions, here's John Krupey with sports.
Thanks, Ray. This is John with XL Sports. There's a lot of things going on in the world of sports because of global warming issues that affect the world of sports and you. We'll get to those issues later. First, let's move on to the scores. In Major League Baseball, our hometown Pittsburgh Pirates, second place in the National League standings, beat the fourth place Dodgers 3-2. Brent Jones with 8 strikeouts, allowing 5 hits and 2 walks. Brent Jones is having a great pitching year. Halfway through the season, he has a 10-2 record. He's a shoo-in for the All-Star team. Moving on to professional golf. The U.S. Open is being played at Pebble Beach in California, one of the most beautiful courses in the world. Going into the final round of Sunday, Phil Mickelson Jr. has a 3-shot lead. The rainy conditions and the temperatures dropping 30 degrees have made ideal playing conditions for the golfers and the spectators. Tiger Woods Jr. shot a 67 to put himself in contention. It's going to be a shootout between Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson for the U.S. Open title. The rest of the field is 6 shots back. Moving on to the Big East rivalry between Pitt and Villanova. Pitt is having an outstanding season with a 21-2 season. Last night they played rival Villanova Wildcats by beating them 58-49. Roy Jefferson led the team with 20 points and 10 rebounds. He's definitely headed to the NBA with stats like that. With the NCAA tournament coming up, they received a bye, their #1 seed. In ACC action, North Carolina beat Duke 65-55. Penguin action last night, Penguins beat the Montreal Canadiens 5-3. Cindy Johnson had 3 goals and 3 assists. The Penguins are a shoo-in for the playoffs this year. Moving on to more issues that are affecting you, the fan, and the professional athlete. Global warming with temperatures of 120 degrees have caused the Utilities Commission to enforce rules to save on fossil fuels like heating, air conditioning, electricity. They have put domes on all stadiums, and they are retractable. When it rains, the ideal conditions, the roofs go open. They can't emphasize the importance of saving on fossil fuels in this with the global warming issues. The Surgeon General has done something really terrific for all of us as athletes and people. Under Armour for years was used by athletes in intense training to soak up the perspiration. Now they have declared, the Surgeon General, that all clothing made for human beings with global warming conditions be made of Under Armour to protect the body from bodily harm. Now moving on to Ray with more news.
Thanks, John. Two stories from the animal kingdom today. Kipper, the last known living Australian koala, died today while undergoing an organ transplant at the Smithsonian Veterinary and Medical Center. And a fishing boat sailing around what used to be known as Antarctica today spotted what the Smithsonian Institute believes might be the last two remaining polar bears on Earth. The Institute immediately transported the bears to its animal preservation facility for a medical examination and DNA collection. In 2010, President Obama signed a bill that pushed for a manned mission to Mars by 2030. Today, on this, the 15th day of March in 2032, in a joint effort between NASA and the United Nations, man has stepped on another planet. President Beaver congratulated NASA on a successful 72-year mission to visit our neighboring planets and announced that terraforming on the red planet is expected to begin next year. President Beaver assured the American public that this will not stop construction on the space elevator to the moon and said it's a good idea to have multiple options ready when you need them. NASA states that astronauts delivered a load of nanotubes to the lunar outpost on their way to Mars. Carbon nanotechnology for the nanotubes came from a space elevator conference held by the Space Engineering and Science Institute in 2011. Now we turn to Danielle for the current weather conditions on this planet.
Thanks, Ray. The Arctic Sea will come close to a record low ice shrinkage this spring and summer due to warm ocean currents and temperature increases. Wind currents have also played a large role in this process. Blowing sea ice into the Atlantic Ocean, where the ice then melts, according to recent research by National Geographic. There's just no ice left. We now have become virtually ice-free. The effect the melting ice is having worldwide is catastrophic. Sea levels are rising and flooding. The coastal areas have really become an issue. Melting ice drastically impacts the lives of many people and animals in these areas, and many lives are at risk. Scientists cannot help but wonder what we could have done years ago to help prevent this from happening. Now these changes are too far along and there's nothing else that can be done. With sea level rising and as the polar ice melts, much of eastern Maryland is now underwater. Massive flooding has wiped out the low-lying areas as seen as on red in the map. The tropical storms around Chesapeake Bay area, which is right about here, is also flooding. There's been over a 2-foot rise in the Pasadena Peninsula. The majority of the beaches and the wildlife had already been lost due to flooding and due to the last few storm surges. The Governor's Commission on Climate Change that was established in 2007 by Virginia and Maryland has been put into action. In Baltimore, high temperatures due to the heat wave do not seem to be letting up anytime soon. The heat threshold on average has been up over 106 degrees for more than 20 days. Another area being hit with a heat wave is Chicago. Record high temperatures of 120 degrees and a heat index of over 130 makes the 1995 heat wave look like peanuts. The heat wave in 1995 was one of the worst weather-related disasters in Illinois' history, with approximately 525 deaths in over a 5-day period, according to Jim Angel, the Illinois state climatologist. The heat wave that is hitting the Chicago area right now has caused almost 700 deaths, approximately 629 if you look at the map right now. Record high humidity levels and high nighttime temperatures about in the mid-80s is providing little, if no, relief in sight. President Beaver has issued a state of emergency and has advised that everyone stay indoors, provided they have air conditioning, or go to the nearest cooling shelter. That will provide a cool place to stay, sleep, eat, and offer free water to those that are in need. Back to you, Ray.
Thanks, Danielle. Sure is a hot one. Star Trek teleporters may not seem so distant now. Scientific engineers have successfully teleported a DNA strand from one adjacent room to another. The amount of energy needed to accomplish this teleportation is still too much for practical uses according to scientists, but the science community says this is simply a start to the possibilities. Coming up at midnight, virtual reality sees a spike in sales over the past year. Some analysts believe this is in response to a lack of outdoor recreation, while activists say it's just another way to escape the real world and generate a whole new level of act. Log on to our website at UOPXnews.com and tell us what you think. That's all for the news this evening. I'm Raymond Wade. Have a good bite.
Watch the credits, so.